AU presentation, John, or did you just make this up on the fly here?
This is just so this is partly what we'll cover some of at the Dynamo workshop on Monday.
Okay.
My other one still needs some work.
Okay.
I think that's what.
Alrighty. Well, I'll let you guys, John, take it away. He's, you guys all know John. He works for Evolve Lab, and he is their top 5 package in Dynamo, and he won AU last year, right? For their, what was that?
For a design thing, I had to like design something in Dynamo, which
Design Slam,
which is a big pain.
So
No,
he's very good at it. Most of you know. But if you don't, he knows Dynamo very well and the back end of Revit, basically.
Cool. So yeah, just I'm trying to stream this as well, so I hope that's working. We'll see if people start yelling at me on Twitter or whatever. I'm sorry, guys. Try again sometime if it doesn't work, but hopefully it is. So I just kind of made this. I got a lot of reaction for this weird image just because I wanted to have fun with it. There's no real reason behind it. I'm just weird like that sometimes. So Bill's my boss's name. Bruce already said it. I'm John Pearson. I'm always on Twitter sharing stuff. That's how I share updates for Dynamo stuff that I'm making as well. So if you're on Twitter, just do that and you can see updates. I work at a place called Evolve Lab. We do everything from I've never used Revit to I'm really good at Revit and I want to do more. So the whole scope of things. We have clients that are architects, contractors, engineers, fabricators, a whole lot of different clients. Like right now I'm building templates for people, and then on the other hand I'm building Dynamo workflows and Revit add-ins for people. So it's kind of fun. I have a blog at 60secondrevit.com. I started that back when I was at Decker Parish Sabatini, and I started wanting to share stuff with people as I started to learn it. I was inspired by people like the Revit Kid. I know most people have probably seen that, or people like Marcelo, who's like now like a really good friend of mine as well, which I think is kind of cool. I also do a podcast with Marcelo. It's available on iTunes and all that stuff. We talk about anything from email to Dynamo stuff as well. Additionally, since there might be some people who don't really know kind of my history, Revit and I are really good friends. I have a whole bunch of Revit certifications just because every time I go to AU, I get a few. It's just kind of fun. AutoCAD, I don't like that guy. We're not friends. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about. I always have to work in one AutoCAD class on it. So we're going to go over kind of the state of Dynamo. So what is it? So does everyone know what Dynamo is, at least so far? I think most people probably do by now. So I'll talk about what version it's on, as well as where it's came from and where it's going. And I'll talk about some useful Dynamo packages with some workflows that I've built for people and used as well. So where's Dynamo right now? It's at version 1.3.2 as of last night, like at 8 p.m. They actually released an update to Revit yesterday, 2018.2. And I installed it this morning just to give it a try, and it broke everything. No, I'm just kidding. So it's on 1.3.2 now. 2.0 is supposed to come out around AU. I've actually been talking to the Dynamo team, and we're trying to hope they won't release it right before AU and mess everything up for us. So we're a little nervous there. I am, because I'm doing a whole workshop on it as well. It works on Revit 2016 through 2018 right now. So if you're in 2015, I'm sorry. You can't use the latest version of Dynamo, but you can download an older version from a site called dynamobuilds.com. So this site's not known a lot by everyone because it's kind of weird. You go to dynamobim.org and it sends you to the latest one. This has stuff like, even for those poor people who might still be in Revit 2013, you could go download 0.6.3 where the nodes are orange and all these different colors too. Dynamo's changed quite a bit, but this is the site you go if you want new stuff. It actually doesn't even have the newest version because it was bundled with the Revit update. So it'll be on there shortly. Another thing that I find really interesting, and I'll just kind of talk about my experience too, is AU 2013 was the first or the furthest back I could find a mention of Dynamo. There was only 4 classes, including the keynote from Carl Bass. He mentioned Dynamo, we're going to invest in it and really empower our users. So 3 or 4 classes. This year at AU, there's a total of 68 classes, which include 3 all-day sessions, one of which I'm teaching with my coworkers. It's Advanced Dynamo session on Monday. So that's pretty amazing. Just in 4 years, it's really scaled a lot, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon, so it's really fun. We'll get into our examples here in a second. So I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit because I actually just did a little talk with someone else about it as well, and I went to Built in August. People always ask me, like, what's your programming background? Why do you do all this stuff? Who are you? Like, why are you crazy? I get that one a lot too. I started using Dynamo in 2014 at Autodesk University 2014. Previous to that, I had no coding experience. I took HTML in high school and built really crappy 90s style web pages, honestly. So I went to AU 2014, went to the workshop. It was over my head. I was frustrated. Even before that, I opened Dynamo and I closed it out of frustration. So when people are frustrated with it, I share that frustration with you because back in 2013, I was right there. I opened it and I was like, this is too much. I'll just do it the way I've been doing it. Forget it. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. And then I went to some classes at AU that are available to stream if you want from Marcelo Scambaluri as well. So those are in AU 2014 and one's called Dynamo for Dummies. That's part of the reason it even appealed to me is because of the name. If it's for dummies, that should work for me, right? So if you just Google that, you'll find it right away. That class is what changed my thinking and really helped me learn all of this. If I didn't go to AU, I don't think I would know it like I do today. So that's kind of vouching for AU as well. So if you guys are on the fence about going to AU, go, because you can make more money if someone like gives you those skills to do this stuff too, and you're just more valuable as well. Also, I kind of want to get into it. If there's any questions while we're going through stuff today, just shout them out. I like questions a lot. I like working through things. So like a lot of times I'll even be showing someone something and they have that what if moment. We'll work through it right now if you have one. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Don't be afraid. There's no dumb questions. I might give dumb answers, but that's a different story. So yeah. We'll go through quite a few examples, and I'll just go through my slides, which everyone has access to as well after this. And I'll give you guys a data set too. So the first thing we're going to do is transfer view templates based on ones I select. So right now, and I'm probably getting a bunch of notifications. So right now, in Revit, if you want view templates from a file, you just transfer project standards. Who loves transfer project standards? Anybody? I hate that command so much. It drives me nuts. I have clients that I'm building templates for, and they're like, "Can I just transfer project standards from your template?" I'm like, "Yeah, I suppose. We'll give it a shot." So yeah, that command's kind of difficult. So this came up, getting individual view templates, because I don't want all of them sometimes. I don't want all that junk. So I need to check which ones I want and then load them in my project. So that's possible, and we're going to do it with a really cool UI, which is basically like a Revit add-in, all made with Dynamo stuff that's available to everyone sitting here right now. Additionally, we're going to, oh, and then on the bottom of these, on that bottom part, that's the Dynamo package that's being used for the example, or the couple of Dynamo packages that we're using. Does everyone know what Dynamo packages are? I'll still cover them a little, it's fine. I like getting into this stuff. So if we go to another website called dynamopackages.com, these are, I wouldn't say open source, but these are free packages made by a community of people for free for everyone to use. You can see stuff like how many installs, so 743,000 plus installs of Dynamo packages. That means a whole lot of times someone didn't reinvent the wheel, which is kind of fun. And we're having a little different conversation before this, but we'll say that for later. There's a total of 1,100 packages and 391 authors. So look at that range right there. 400 authors for nearly 1,200 packages. That means each author might have like 3. That's kind of fun. That's pretty neat. So a lot of people are building cool stuff to share with everyone. You can see stuff like newest. So what is the newest package? This one, find and replace room numbers, I think. It's probably something someone made and they're like, hey, let's share this with people just because. Most recently updated. Mine's not on there yet. It will be. And then the most installed. I'm actually the maintainer of a package called Rhythm. It's currently the 5th one with like 26,000 downloads. So a lot of sleepless nights on my part worrying if I broke someone's project. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's pretty neat. Back in 2014, I learned it at AU, and in 2015, I started building stuff, and I was like, well, I should probably share this with people because it is useful. That's when that was born, with like 2 nodes in it, and now it has something like 100 and something pieces of code that do things. So it's been pretty fun. And I think I presented here at this user group before I released it, and I basically bundled all that stuff as nodes after the presentation, which is also kind of cool. So yeah, we have Clockwork, which is a really good package, Rhythm, which is mine, and one called Data Shapes. And Data Shapes helps us build custom UI in Revit, so I'll show that as well. Next, we're going to generate 3D views for Revit elements. So one thing that I've seen people need is stuff like room data sheets or axons of stuff. We can automate that in Dynamo as well with just a little bit of thought behind it. And basically, we're going to make 3D views for all the things, you know. So we could do 3D views for rooms, floor plates, so level 1 to level 2 sectioned off views. We can do it for every door in your project if you really wanted. And there's a few different ways to do it. And I think I'm going to brag and say I have the most stable way. Another one that I built when I first started using Dynamo and I improved it is overriding interior crop regions. So who all does like interior elevations, like architects probably in here? Yeah. Do you like them to have like that thicker border? I know that our interior designers did. What did they do, or what do you typically do? Double click view to activate, right click override, 5, whatever the heck. Do it times 1,000 and your company's losing money. That sucks. So that was one of the first things that I was like, I think we could probably automate this. Let me look at it. And the initial workflow was clunky, and I recently converted it to use a C# workflow. So a lot of Rhythm started out being really simple stuff that was just tied together cleverly. But now it's turning into like a full-on, like basically a Revit add-in inside of a package, which is pretty fun. So I'll talk about 2 methods that I've developed as well. We're using a package called Archilab, and then mine as well. Oh, so I made an example file for this presentation. Who all thinks I made every elevation manually and sheeted it for us? Yeah? So what I actually did is, it's a total of 6 minutes, but I shortened the video. What I did, and I'm not going to do the process again, I got every room in the model, got every center point of the room, placed an elevation marker at every center point of the room, and shot an elevation all 4 ways. And then I also sheeted those views on a newly created sheet with Dynamo in about 6 minutes. So I did that this morning in preparation for this. So we see the elevation markers. There's a lot of little other things in here that I won't explain right now because I can't talk that fast. But we create an elevation at each corner of it now. So see that? Those weren't there before. We go from there and we generate a grid to place views now. And then I create a sheet. I take the amount of points I need. I think I screwed up right here actually, yeah. I missed my point by coordinates. I was like, I'll leave it in there to explain it. And then I take the points I need. Oh, it was going vertically, I wanted to go horizontally. And then I create a viewport on the sheet with all those views. And I activated the view, the sheet just for dramatic effect, that we could see all the views placed. So it'll take a second because it's generating graphics for 136 elevations. In 6 minutes, I got that ready this morning. I was not about to sit there for hours and make views for an example. No, no, no. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with everyone. Those are nodes that I made to create elevation markers that will be available in Rhythm next week, I think. I'm working on some updates and trying to get them done before AU so I don't break everyone's stuff and be in people's presentations and they're like, what the heck? So the next example that we'll do is locating viewports. So does everyone love when their plan views aren't aligned and you're going through like your sheets that are printed or PDF and it's like a flip book and the plan's going and it's jittering like that? It's awesome, right? In Dynamo, we can actually start to align those based on a parent viewport, and we can make all the children viewports follow. So we can get a source plan view like area A and make every area A in the building follow that one as well, and I'll show that. How difficult is that to do though? It's one of my last examples. is not that difficult. It's 4 nodes. So we're going to cover how easy it is to use some of these packages that you can use as well. Coincidentally, that viewport set location is mine as well. So and then pick model elements is mine also, I think. Sometimes I forget. I have like 6 examples because I didn't know how much time it would take for each one and if you guys had a lot of questions. So if we don't get it in all of them, I'll give them all to everyone anyway. So we'll go over tagging and untagged elements in a view. So how does everyone typically look at a view and figure out, oh, are all my walls tagged? I've seen people do it pretty crappy ways to where they like print it and they're highlighting and stuff and it's not fun. That kind of stuff is wasting time. We could be doing cooler things. So there's another Dynamo package that's from Evolve Lab called Beaker for Dynamo, which I built as well. I built it for the company, for my company, so that way we can have something to give to the community also. And one of the nodes in there actually looks at a view and figures out what's tagged and untagged, so that way we can color code them really quickly. And then you can undo the color coding when you're done. That uses a package called Spring Nodes, Beaker, and UI++. Another one we're going to talk about is bulk file upgrades. Does anyone know where the upgrades from? I know Vanessa does. That's from a movie called Idiocracy. You guys should really watch it. It's really cool. So whenever people go to a new version of Revit, have you ever had to upgrade family files or project files just so that way people don't have to see that annoying pop-up? Doing that pretty manually sucks also. And we actually just published a blog post on our website showing how to do it as well, and that's evolvebim.com. And if I could spell. If you go to our website, we have a blog, we have a forum, all free, all that cool stuff. There's one on there about upgrading files, but I'm going to teach you how to do it today anyway. What we're also going to do is one thing that we forgot to include on our blog post was how to get rid of the .001 files. So that sucks too. Now you doubled your library when you bulk upgrade it. So we're gonna fix that also today. Another one is rename views from Project Browser, apparently. From Project Browser. I added that one this morning as well. So what we'll do is select in Revit, rename it in Dynamo, and then tell your boss to pay you more because you saved time doing something that sucks. Has anyone had to rename a lot of views to append a prefix to it? Oh, dude, right-click rename the, would you like to rename the level sessions of Revit open? Because I like to abuse my computer. What we're going to do is we have a Revit file. This Revit file has nothing in it. It's just a blank template I made with with 2 view templates, I think, just because I wanted to show something. So if we go to view, manage view templates, we have 3 view templates in there. So let's say I want to load a view template from a file. In my case, I have a file on my desktop called like seed view template file, because that's where I'm going to get them from. So what we'll do is we'll fire up Dynamo. I already have it open, but it's on the Manage tab in Revit 2017 and up, and I'll just expand it. So what we need to do is we'll actually build it with the logic of some UI in mind. So we need to give people, so you got to think of how a computer would think about doing it. So I need to look at the file. So where's the file at? That's typically referred to as a file path. So in Dynamo, a file path node looks like this. And then you can browse to wherever the file is, which is template seed file. Cool, that's where my file is. But if I want to have a UI that someone can interact with without really screwing with Dynamo, I could build that as well. And that's achieved through a package called data shapes. So if we expand these bins on the left-hand side, which are packages or node libraries as they're called, data shapes is one as well. We can expand UI and see a whole lot of stuff. This guy figured out in Revit 2017 that Python scripts circumvent Dynamo player and let pop-ups happen. And he went crazy with it. Like he went nuts and built all this stuff for us, which is pretty awesome. So what we need to do is, I already kind of described it, but we need a file path. So UI file path. It's a little different because it has that stacked look to it. So it has a little stacking. What that means is it's a custom node. So if I were to double click on it, it'll show me all of its innards. And in that case, it's Python inside of it, which is a programming language that Dynamo can use as well. So what we need to do is we just need to give this a name. My computer's turning, it scared me. So we need to give this a name telling people what this is. So like For instance, if I double click and type a quote, I'm able to do a string, which is text. I always show the code block first, but people get mad sometimes. So if we right click and search for string, that's the same thing. A string is text. We'll go over that barrier right away, it's text. So we'll do like pick file to get templates from. And that'll be the name of that input. Not bad, not bad at all. So now what we can do is we can initialize a pop-up for people, and that requires something called a multi-input form. So if we click on that, this node's a little more intimidating. So what we could do is we could see that he has some descriptions for us. So description of what the workflow does. Do you want a logo on it? So yeah, we'll put a logo. So I'll actually reuse this file path and find an image that I want to use for a logo. And in that case, I'll use my cool 80s logo. And we'll just plug that right in with the wire. So logo. And then a lot of these, if we hover over, we'll see that he already gave us a value. So like when you click the OK button, it's just going to say set values instead of OK. So he's doing that for us. A description's nothing, so we'll just leave that blank as well. Toggle tells it to run. A toggle in Dynamo is a Boolean, which is true or false or 0 or 1. So we'll do is Boolean, right click search. And that's the Boolean. So we can put that right into toggle. Other than that, the rest of these don't need any input because I'm not going to use them. So we literally need 3 inputs. So what we need to do now is give this whatever the UI needs to do. So if we hit true, it should, I'm probably in a command. It should run and give me a pop-up. Run started. It generally freaks out like that when you're in a command. That's no fun. Don't do this to me. Shouldn't have put the logo, John. Let's do that real quick and we'll reopen it up. Something happened. Yeah, I know. Well, that ticks me off. So we'll refire up Dynamo and look at that again. I actually have a like pre-cooked one and we'll just talk through it. So we go to examples and open it in manual mode this time. And I'll just talk through this one because this one's a really big example for the first one. So we'll just talk through it. I was going to build it manually, but whatever. So what we're doing is please choose a file to load templates from. I am initializing that pop-up, same logo. And then it'll, after that, we get inputs from it. So whenever a user has that file path chosen, it returns it to me in Dynamo. So I'm building this now with that thought that I'm waiting for that. Additionally, we need to, so basically, if we step back, upgrading a Revit file is us opening it and closing it and hitting save. So all we need to do is open the document, and then we turn around and we can save it afterwards. So we're saving way back over here somewhere. This one's kind of big, I know. I apologize. And then we're saving it towards the end. A lot of this logic in there, it's not the most difficult stuff, but the next ones are a little simpler. So I'll just get into those after we show this. So once we hit run, and this one should hopefully run unless something changed. Or it's me having freaking 10 sessions of Revit open. My UI not going to work? That's awful. It's really acting like I'm in a command.
Are you in the right session with Dynamo?
Yes. Yes. So I get for opening a buttload of files, huh? Well, that one's not going to work. That's a bummer. We're going to go ahead and close that one because it's giving me problems. Sorry, guys. Moving on. So what was second? That's why I have like 7 examples. So we're going to generate 3D views for Revit elements. In our case, we'll go ahead and do them for rooms. So what we'll do is we'll open up this other file. I had my template seed file open. I can't open my file while it's in use Jackass. So at least I found the problem. Oh, that's embarrassing. Okay, we're still gonna skip that one. And we're going to jump. I opened the wrong one. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually, I think I could do it in this file. The locate viewports. Yeah, we could do it in this file. So what we'll do is we'll create a 3D view for each room. So we just need to build some logic around that. So we need to gather all of our rooms in our model, similar to what you would do if you were to manually select a room like that and hit this cool little sandwich and create a 3D view of it. So what that does is that creates a section box in Revit for that one item. So you don't want to do that for like every room or every door or whatever you want to isolate. So what we could do is we can collect all those rooms. And one way to do that is using categories. So in Dynamo, we have access to categories, rooms. So I told Dynamo I'm going to look at rooms and mess with those. And now we need to collect all that, which is all elements of category. We have what to look at and to grab it. So we have 91 rooms in this model. We're actually going to take that up another step because I don't want to try to create views for everything. So we need to actually look at a few things. So if I have a room schedule in my model, which I should, but who knows? Room finish schedule work. We're going to see, this isn't the right model. So what we're going to do is we're going to manually place a room that doesn't have an area to it, a room that's unbounded, if you will. So what we'll do is we'll just place a room. So RM on your keyboard, cool. Do I want to try to create a 3D view for that? Is that going to work for me? Probably not. So most users go in and they delete that thing, but we always get that warning message that we ignore. That one we always ignore, but it means that that room still exists. I still have that room in there. So what we could do is we can get a parameter. The reason I'm showing this is because this came up last time, I think, that I presented. And we can get the area of the room and start to filter out those ones that we don't want. So if we get the area, we'll notice that a lot of these have room area and one of them doesn't. It's actually the last one in my case. So what we need to do is get rid of that before we start to do stuff to the rooms. And that's done with something called a filter by Boolean mask. What this means is we're going to filter by a series of true or false values. So I need to create a series of true or false values first. That last case where it doesn't have any area to it is equal to nothing, basically. So what we need to do is hit equals and compare it to literally nothing. So now what we'll get is a list of 92 true or false values. True means that that is not a real room, that I just don't want to mess with it. So what that'll do is we'll use that for our mask. So what it's going to do is it's going to split the list up by true or false within Dynamo. The list that I want to split is this room. So that'll go right in there. And if we hover, we'll notice that one room is a crappy room and the rest are good rooms. So now we can work with those ones. So what we could do is we could go ahead and get the bounding box of elements. So every element in Revit has a bounding box, which circumscribes it. So like if we have like this eraser, for instance, and it's like this, the bounding box is perfectly square. It's like this, the bounding box is like this. So bounding boxes are a little weird still. They're not like the greatest way to mess with stuff sometimes, but we're going to do it for this case. So what we'll do is we'll search for element, and we put a dot because we're doing something to an element. Bounding box. That's an out-of-the-box node that we're able to use. So what we could do is plug that in, and really quickly, once I hover, we have a bounding box. So we need to use that to set a whole bunch of 3D views to that bounding box, basically. So what we also need to do is make 3D views, because right now in this file, I'm only going to have the one with the little curly braces around it, wherever the heck it is. The one that like every Revit file has. It might not even be created yet. There it is. So that's the only view we have right now, currently. And we'll actually turn off the section box. So what we need to do is create a view for each room now. So we have to use some logic in that as well. So what we'll do is search for views, because I need to get the base view to work with. We'll look for 3D view with the curly braces eventually. That's not in alphabetical order for some reason. It's kind of annoying. So we have that 3D view selected. So now I need to create one for each one of those bounding boxes. So the way to do that, the easiest way that I find to do that is cycling a list, which means give me more of it, make copies of it just temporarily. So we'll look for cycle. And we need to tell it to create a list that's 92 or 91 items long of that view. So one way to do that is Dynamo's really good at counting. I could just type 91, but I'd like to make it to where it can adapt. So we'll just count that list. Dynamo's really good at math and counting for us. And we'll cycle up that view. So now we have that view 91 times. The problem is it's the same view over and over. So if I were to like set the bounding box right now, I'd go dook, 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 and it just keeps setting the bounding box like crazy, which isn't fun either. So there's another node from Clockwork, I think, that's to duplicate a view. And what it does is it takes a series of views or a view and it makes one copy of it. So now if I feed in 91 views, it's going to make 91 copies of it for me. So we'll do is we'll go ahead and plug that in. And it'll think for a second because it's doing a couple hours of work for people, you know, it's doing all that work for you. So it'll just think for a minute. And then we'll now have our views to be able to use them. I know, I have so many. I should have only opened one session of Revit at a time, thinking about it now. But yeah, what it'll do is it'll go through and it'll duplicate that view for me eventually. I'm also running on automatic mode, which is like kind of risky sometimes because you can get in like an endless loop really quickly. But yeah. If this one breaks too, I'm just going to be really ticked off. Don't do it to me, Revit. Dang. That didn't take that long to run when I practiced it. I guess I did feed it the whole 91. I should have done like a whole level, huh? Bro. Don't do this to me.
What can you go back to?
I should close the extra Revit sessions, huh? It was thinking. That's what I get for opening all of them. I hate closing them because I hate making you wait for me to open them, but honestly, I might have to just leave that one running. It says not responding. Dynamo, don't do it to me. We're gonna let that one run. I'm not gonna force close it, and we'll go into the next one as well. Am I selling everyone on it yet?
Yeah.
Dang, man. Bad luck day.
Maybe this one you shouldn't set on that.
Yeah, I'll probably turn off automatic, but that's kind of where the cool part comes in. Is when it is on automatic, it's showing the updates. Dang. I'm telling you, I've never seen it that bad. Oh, did it finish? When I threatened it, did it finish? Yeah. Why is it? It's taking the window from me too. Now it's just being really mean. Let's go ahead and close that session of it. And maybe it'll leave my other one open for me to play with. That's awful, guys. I'm sorry.
You think it's the live stream maybe? It's causing that?
Could be too, because I've never done that. I know GoToMeeting
We'll just say that.
sucks. Well, we could probably go ahead and go into this one, I hope. Otherwise, I'll have to do a refresh. All right, so we'll go into the viewport example with overriding those. So traditional method, right click, override and view by element, and we'll pick a weight of like 9. Yeah, or we'll draw masking regions. That sucks too. Masking regions is tough.
Not much.
So what we'll do is we'll just, so that other session that was problematic close, we'll leave it alone for now. And what we need to do is get all these views on the sheet. So there's a few ways to do that. I'm able to get the views on the sheet or just gather all the elevations in the project. I'll go ahead and show the elevations method, I think. So what we'll search for is we need to get the views types, so elevation markers. View type. This is from a package called Archilab Grimshaw that you can use as well. And it has all of our view types in there. So in our case, I don't know if everyone knows it or not, but it'll show up as a section when I collect them. But an elevation is necessarily a section in Revit's API. It's a little weird, but yeah. And we'll do get by type. And I'll get views by that type. So we'll see that it now says section view. That's a little off-putting at first because you're like, well, I wanted elevations. They're necessarily section views, just it works out. This logic's built in for us as well. So what we'll do is we'll probably switch this to manual just to be a little safer. And we will look in Rhythm under Revit elements and look in view section because it's a view section. So we have two nodes in here. One's to override crop regions, a slow method that uses some really crazy other stuff. And then a fast method, which literally takes the views ID. Does everyone know what element ID is for views and elements? It's like its driver's license. And it takes -1. So every element in Revit has an element ID. Views have an element ID, and -1 is its viewport. I found that out like by accident after pulling my hair out for days when I was trying to make this workflow. So it works most of the time. That's why there's a version 1 as well. So all you need to do is feed it the section, and we'll tile this over. You'll feed it the section views, and you'll feed it a line weight. So we'll do something really dramatic like 12, just to be able to see it. Once we hit run, Dynamo thinks in the background real quick, and it overrides every interior elevation for me. So if I were to change that, it kind of happened really fast. I was shocked too. When we hit run, it changes all of them. So if we go to like that crazy 16 line weight that no one uses, you can see that I set the crop region for 129 views all at once. That's pretty awesome because that's something that's super manual otherwise. I know when I found out about that, what people were doing to get it done, I was like, oh my gosh, we could fix this, I hope. So yeah, I put it on manual mode just because I was kind of afraid from the last example, frankly. But kind of like the really cool thing to see on automatic and you slide it. Yeah, now you're just having fun with them and they're animating right before your eyes as well. So you can kind of start to like them. Yeah. Oh, this is a sheet that I made just for this example. So it's a really big sheet just with a whole bunch of elevations on it. Well, this so the way that this node works, I made this workflow. I just placed them all just for simplicity. Yeah, but for this workflow, you literally give it whatever views you want. So you can select views however you want, whatever number of views, and you feed it into that input. So whatever you select, it'll take.
It's not actually showing.
This right here?
No, all of it. I'm still on all of it. Not necessarily.
Oh, this?
But just like how they're all showing up in Word.
Oh, you're still how I placed all these.
Yeah,
All the viewports. Yeah. So these are literally viewports on a sheet. Yeah. So yeah. This isn't realistic. You wouldn't have 129 elevations spaced out. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, those would all populate my list in Dynamo, and they'd be spread out over several sheets. And we'd still have them placed on the sheet. So the view needs to be placed in order to get a viewport. So once you have all of them placed, you can feed them all in and update it. So that's kind of how that works. The idea is everyone's already done their interior elevations, they sheet them, and then we just gather them and screw with them, you know?
So they have to be on a sheet where you can.
Yeah, because the viewport outline, that might even be wrong because it can have a crop region even though it's not.
I'm wondering, can you play with the crop region instead of the.
Yeah. The reason I'm saying that's because I'm using, I'd have to look at it. I think you probably could mess with it still even if it's not on a sheet.
I've seen lots of people do different things where you can manipulate that now. You can make it follow whatever you want. but they still want to see it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's still a very manual process.
Yeah. I have to look at it. I've always messed with it on sheets because that's when I really care to see it.
So I have a challenge for you, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is to crop make the crop slightly bigger than what you want, and then pick a point in the interior elevation and find the outline of the section cuts in that space. That's really what we want.
You want to have that little buffer.
Especially like when there's cabinets.
I can make it place masking regions. Yeah.
So there's the dealing with the slope crews, which potentially, if you can get that property, you also, in nasty regions, it says you would definitely have some views where you don't want one side to have a heavy border because it's not
It's
a
like
good view or something.
Yep. That's true. So if you have one on the other side of it.
Yeah, this saves a lot of time for simple boxes.
Yeah.
But for anything else, it's still doesn't quite solve.
If you were still to edit your crop region though, like
Yep.
it'll still override it.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But yeah, if we want to automate like placing masking regions.
No, don't do that. No.
Okay.
Please don't do that.
Editing the crop to go around what you want. Yeah, that's one of those ones where it starts to get to where I'm like, how do I know what you want all the time?
That's right. There's
Those
a
ones
lot
are
of
tough.
cases.
Yeah.
Just don't put them on the down sheet.
I think did the edit crop region come up in 16 with an update?
15 or 16.
Yeah.
15 or 16? Editing it to be able to do like random stuff like this, sawtooth it. It was really horrible in Revit 15 when you tried to print with the angled one and your PDF was suddenly 400 megs. That's when it really sucked. Yeah. It was weird. We ended up sawtoothing them. So when it had an angle, we would go like a sawtooth, like a stair step, and it would print fine.
It's about the percentage of that angle. It has to be like a very.
Yes, it was crazy. All right, so that's kind of that example doing those viewports. So what we could do now is I'll run one session of Revit, and I'll open my locate viewports one. Ultimately, I think it all just went downhill when I was owning the file I was trying to read. That was a mess. All right, so what we have in this file is we have a couple sheets I just made for this example. So if I just double click and activate each sheet, this is the way that I'm going to show it today, but you can always automate this more. And we'll hit WT to tile them. We have all of our sheets open. This one's a good one. It's on the sheet. All these, that guy's fired. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe they automated it, right? No, I'm just kidding. So what we're going to do is we need to get the parent viewport, which is this one right here. And we need to make all those children follow. So we'll just do that probably one of the easier ways, which is manually selecting them. But you could very well automate this just to look at every sheet and make a match. That's a little beyond what I wanted to show right now as well. So what we'll do is we'll do new, start a new file. And to select stuff in Revit, we can just type select. And we'll type model as well. Select model element. This node's a little misleading actually because like everything's a model element, even annotation. You can use this to select viewports, sheets, title blocks, all that stuff. It's kind of weird. So what we'll do is we'll select the parent. Awesome, we got the parent viewport. And now we need to get creative. My screen scaling sucks. We need to get creative and pick the other 5. So a really easy way to do that as well, because I don't want to put 5 more of these. That's not very fun. Is we can use other methods like pick model elements. So we'll do pick model elements, which is a custom node from Rhythm as well. And we'll just place it. So what it does is it puts you in a selection mode, so a multi-selection with a finish. So that's achieved through a Python script embedded in there, and it's a Revit API method that you've probably seen when you're doing like a batch copy from a linked file or something. So what we do is we go in, pick that first viewport, pick that one, pick that one, pick that one, pick that one, and hit finish. So now I picked all my children viewports. My menu keeps disappearing. And if we hover, we'll see 5. So we'll see in Dynamo that this element ID is different than these 5, which is good because I don't want to try to round trip them to each other. That wouldn't be very fun. This is another node in the package rhythm under, so there's this Revit elements bin, and converting a lot of stuff to actually use C#. And they're a little faster. All this stuff used to be pretty slow when I was doing it other ways, and now it's a lot faster. Within this bin, we have an option to set a location of a viewport based on another one. So the parent viewport is the parent one, the main one that you want to copy, and the child viewports are all the other ones. So what happened? So I'm going to leave Dynamo running and minimize it too. So what happened? All my viewports changed for me. All of them match now. They're in the exact same spot on that sheet, which is pretty awesome. Even more awesomer, if I drag the parent, all of them are still related because Dynamo's still chugging in the background for me. This is something, how did we reference planes, model lines, pulling our hair out? Guide grids okay. Yeah, so they will now follow that one. They're like the little ducks following their mom now. Not forever though, because once I close Dynamo, that's broken. So just always keep that in mind too. What was that? It's doing it by paper space units, so Revit paper space. So like even if these views, so I'll change the view scale real quick, because that's a good question. I like it. Where's my scales? This started as a metric project because it's the out of the box template, so that's fun. We'll just scale it up or down. See, I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. So what happens is in Revit, viewports have this thing called a box center. So what that is if it's a square, it's the literal point in the very middle. So no matter the size of your viewport, it'll base its box center on the other one. So it's like putting that pin right in the middle of it. So like every viewport, I'm gonna like screw up the board now. That's the box center. This one, that's the box center as well. So now all we're doing, almost done, is we're making those match, even if they are different sizes. Useful for plans I've seen a lot, or area plans. If you're using scope boxes, your viewport's going to be the same size because you're using a scope box. But yeah, that's kind of what that was. That's another one of those ones where you've seen someone doing it so manually that you're like, no, just give me the money for the time you saved. So yeah, that's that example. The next one, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, is renaming a bunch of stuff from the project browser. This is actually a little easier than like you think. Sometimes it's like, well, how do I collect all my views? How do I make sure I have the views I want? How do I do blah, blah, blah? So what we'll do is we'll open Dynamo. And I don't even know how, I found this with Patrick, I think. We're screwing around. I don't know, we're like, what's the best way to get views and rename them? And we just found it and it worked out. In Dynamo, if you do a select model elements, so like select model elements again, I hit select. Ah, how the heck am I going to choose views? If I choose the stuff on the sheet, that's a viewport. That's not a view. It's different. This grays out. I want to do that, so I'm going to hit escape. Funny enough, if you go through, you're able to select them like this, right? And hold down Control. Oh, wait, Revit 2018.2 new feature. Collapse all. You're welcome. That came out last night. Oh wait, expand all so I could see all of them again. Boom. So can I say I'm the first one to present on it live? Yeah, on 2018.2. All right, so what we're doing is we're selecting all of our views, holding down Control. Oh shit, I let go of Control. So this is kind of manual, it seems. What we're able to do is obtain a current selection in Revit with a package called Spring Nodes. They turned gray, but it's okay. The collector.current selection. So boom, I selected all those different view types all at once just by doing something that every Revit user should know how to do, is select views in a browser, right? Be surprised sometimes, I guess. So what we want to do is we want to append a prefix to that, and we'll just append something, whatever, today. So we need to obtain the name of that, because right now I have elements selected. In Dynamo, if it has a little green thing next to it, that's an element. You can't really tell what it is, like what its parameters are, what its name is and stuff. So we need to obtain an element, so a dot, because we're going to do that to an element, name. element name. Tie that in. So now we obtain the name for each one of those things. Yeah, it's a ceiling plan. I was like, how the hell? Okay, there's ceiling plans mixed in which have the same name. I was like, oh no, we have a bigger problem. So what we want to do is append a prefix. Once again, these are considered strings now, which is text, series of characters. So we want to be able to insert something at the beginning of that. So if we go to core, and we'll actually navigate to this one manually. So core and string, we'll see a whole bunch of stuff for strings in here. Like I could change the case and make it all uppercase if someone named a bunch of views wrong or something like that. I can add letters inside of it, remove characters, do all kinds of crazy stuff really. But what we're going to do is insert. So we need to insert a prefix into these view names. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse that. So this is looking for string and then an index. Dynamo in any coding language starts with 0. So when you start counting normally, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to have to do 0, 1, 2, 3. So I think the joke is programmers have 9 fingers and everyone else has 10 because they start at 1, but programmers start at 0, something like that. So we need to add this prefix at the beginning, which is index 0. So I'll double click and just type 0. And I'll do a semicolon just to break it up. And what do we want to add as a prefix? Orange, I don't care. You have to put quotes. And then I'll just click somewhere else. So now we have a code block, don't let that scare you, with a number at the beginning or at the top and a string at the bottom. Luckily, those provide my input for this insert. So if I hover and pin, I now have the word orange applied. I think your hat made me think orange, just to be honest. Yeah. So now that's appended at the beginning of the name. So do we want to make these uppercase at the same time while we're at it? Might as well, huh? So what we could do is we could search for something called toUpper. And we could see that it takes a string and it pumps out a string. Boom. So 14 views, prefix, uppercase. Save time already. Has the change happened in Revit yet? Not yet. So we're still missing something. We need to push those changes back to Revit. Currently, you can actually see that's my old undo, but it doesn't have an undo for this because I haven't made a change in Revit. So what we need to do is we need to, so a lot of times you just think logically, like I want to set the name of something. Chances are if you search set name, there's something for it, especially if you have Clockwork installed. If you have Dynamo installed Clockwork, just do yourself the favor and have it. So what this takes is an element and name, and it'll rename them. What I'm going to go ahead and do is switch this to manual. And does anyone know why? Because what it's going to keep doing is orange, orange, orange forever, and I would be pretty screwed again. So we'll switch it to manual. It might not do it since I use this selection method, but you never know. I speak from experience on that one, where it like chewed up my file. It was just like Dynamo was all powerful at the moment. So we'll do is hit run. Boom. All of our view names have changed. Orange as a prefix and uppercase for the rest of it. Pretty awesome whenever you're like, especially like if you're building a template from scratch and you need to do naming conventions. Pretty nice. Or you just need to update a bunch of sheet names to upper, something like that. You can do that as well. Uppercase is pretty common. Yeah.
How do you target just the title on the sheet versus the actual title of the view?
Yeah. So let's do this. I'm going to delete all that stuff and hit run again just to make sure. And I think I could still work with that. We'll go ahead and switch it back to automatic. If we do a get parameter value, title on sheet is a parameter within the identity data of a view. So if I tie that into element and we just type title, and I don't know if that's the right case or not. On. So let's go ahead and leave that real quick and I'm going to talk about something else. So it's all blank because I'm wrong right now, right? Don't be afraid, I'm wrong. That's fine. The reason I'm kind of doing that is because if they are all empty, we'll fix that too. Is because in Rhythm, there's another node called get parameter value by name, case insensitive. So that way I don't even have to worry about that crap and embarrass myself. So what we could do is elements, title on sheet, and it'll return them all. Like Arthur just said, some of them don't even have the title and sheet filled out, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll have to recollect them. That's kind of the bummer, because I was right. My node's not going to update until I recollect them. Which one did I even add that title on? So anyone pay attention? I wasn't. Oh, see? But you just get the parameter for the title and sheet, and you can set the parameter. That one's also, I didn't pre-add that as a parameter for all these, so that's kind of the bummer. But yeah, if it's a accessible parameter in the properties, you can mess with it. That kind of makes sense. Additionally, and I'll just plug another one, tools. I'll do manual because I'm afraid now. All upper, we can convert views, title, and sheet by just feeding in a Boolean of true. So that's a tool that I made also that you can use. If you just bust into that node by double clicking, you can see the logic in it, which is a little, it looks a little intense or heavy. But yeah, this is one of my first nodes, so I think that reveals a little bit too. Look at the innards. But yeah, we're collecting all the views. We're getting the parameter value by name, the correct name, and we're converting it to an uppercase and then setting that same parameter at the end. So that logic's in there as well. If you download it, you can also just kind of work through some of that to learn from. That's how I learned a lot of it too. Does that answer the question, I hope? It's not a read-only parameter, thankfully. All right, so we did the override, we did locating viewports. The 3D views kind of crashed on us. We can look at tagged and untagged elements and views now. So I'll open another Revit file for that. We're pretty good on, we're like right on time, so that's good news. We'll close this darn Revit file. And I have a special file for this too that's just kind of messed with, so that way we can see some tagged and untagged pretty easy. So there's a lot of stuff just going on. So what we could do is open up Dynamo again. This is kind of why I have several sessions open at once, so I don't have to do that every time, but what are you going to do sometimes? And then we'll look at another node available in Beaker, and I think we'll call it a day on this one. So if we go to the Beaker bin, it's named Beaker. Our company's name's Evolve Lab. I'm super clever, and Beaker's a classware, right? So what we'll do is we can look at utilities. This is basically almost like a Revit add-in. That's why it's called a utility, and we can obtain tag status by view. So what we'll do is we'll collapse this, and we'll see that. So what we need to do is figure out what view we want to look at tags in, because tags can exist in views, and plan views specifically. So what we'll do is we'll look for active view, which obtains the view I currently have open in Revit. Springs has a really nice one that just does it for you. The out-of-the-box method is a little weird because it takes 2 nodes when I can just use 1. So 1, and now we need to look at categories. Specifically, I have walls and doors in this view. So we'll go categories, if I could spell. It is a little laggy in general. I didn't know YouTube was going to rob from me so much. And we just feed the category that we want to look at. So now we'll have 2 lists that are split. The top list are not tagged, and the bottom list are tagged. So 2 pretty long lists. So now what we can do is we can override colors in view. So we do override color, or you can do like a set parameter and push that to a parameter and filter by it. Filters are really useful too. And we can override those to be a different color. So let's do color picker. This color picker right here is from another custom package called UI++. Custom packages are available in packages. Search for a package. That's supposed to be in version 2.0 of Dynamo, I think, natively. But for now, you just search for UI++ and install it. The reason I really like this is because I can just pick a darn color and be happy. The Dynamo way of picking a color is, if I search for color, I have to define the alpha and the RGB value. Each value, I have to define it manually. That's not very fun. I just kind of want to pick a color. So we'll just pick a color. And I bet you I need to override the projection color. Let's do it in a 3D view, actually. So we did all of that stuff in a plan view. What we're going to turn around and do is look at it in a 3D view. So really quickly, those are not tagged in that view. So I can already see that and start to work with it and mitigate that issue. In a plan view, you'd have to override the cut lines, which takes a little more thought that I'm not going to work through right now. So yeah, we can start to isolate that stuff as well. So if I go back to my plan view, we'll just remove this. We search for isolate. We can do a temporary isolate in the view. So it takes a view input and it takes elements. Those are my walls that aren't tagged. So it's like that magnifying glass starting to investigate my model for me, which is pretty cool. And then all you need to do now is HR for reset hide isolate on your keyboard after you've kind of looked at it. And then you can go through and fix whatever's wrong and kind of go from there also. So that's a tool that's available in the Beaker package. If there's like ideas like that, like let people know. Like I always like it when people have ideas. It's really awesome. Did I get through all the examples? I think I did that one, the Fro project browser. The bulk file upgrade is available on our site that you could download. I have 9 minutes. Should I even try that again? What's the verdict?
Yeah, let's try it.
Oh, he said, let's try it. Who else said do it? So we'll do is we'll just run it on this file. So what we're doing is we're running this in Dynamo. So we're requiring Dynamo just to be able to do this. So you just need a Revit file. Any Revit file opened, even a blank template. And what we'll do is I'll just open the done file and just talk through it again. I don't like to do that, but. So now we can see that I am picking my directory. So the directory that I'm pointing at is one that I copied. It's a door directory right here. And it has a bunch of subfolders and a bunch of doors. These are all out of the box things. They're all in Revit 16 also. So I want to upgrade them. So what we'll do is we'll browse to the right one because I tested that on another one this morning. We need to obtain everything from that directory. So Clockwork has a node called Directory Contents Plus. The reason it's a plus is because it searches all the subfolders too. There's an out-of-the-box one in Dynamo, but it only looks on the very outside of the directory. It's not very useful when you have families that are nested in folders like crazy. So what we'll do is we'll search for Revit families. So you put an asterisk, RFA, and it searches for files that have that. Because there's also text files in there. Revit can't open a text file through File Open. We need to open the document, which is in Rhythm as well, so open document file. And then we just need to close it really fast. So that's literally all we do. Open, close, save. We're just mimicking what someone might be sitting there doing. Additionally, we have this thing called a pass-through, which is saying this back half of the graph. This is Dynamo's stuff's called graphs or scripts as well. I think I might have skipped that. That pass-through saying all this stuff, wait for this stuff to finish before you try. So what we're going to do is we need to delete all of the backup files to the 0.0001. So all we need to do, and can I like tile this so we can see it working? I don't know if I can. Has anyone else noticed that glitch in 2018? You can't just grab it, you have to minimize first. Yes, it drives me crazy, and I'm on a like scaled thing. So what we do is we'll just hit run, and Dynamo's in the background just going open file, upgrade, save, open file, upgrade, save right now. And it's quite a few files.
We figured out whether it does all the opens and all the saves.
It does all the opens first.
You need the memory to open all those files at once.
Yeah, it does all of them because it's kind of freaky. But we could see it in my Windows Explorer chugging right now. So what it's doing is it's cranking through and it's doing each one with the open and save, and then it'll come back through and it'll remove that backup file. If it doesn't, we'll just hit run again, and then it'll remove the backup file because the little wait thing, sometimes Dynamo doesn't want to wait sometimes. So it's still not quite at that file. Oh, it did it already.
What if you wanted to audit the file too? You put that in there.
You could build it. That's available. This one just opens. You can also do a detach from central. So you could do like a detach from central, audit, save as if you wanted like to like compile a file. So you can also do that. It's just not in this workflow. Yeah, we can see everything should say 1254 now, and there's no 0.0001s. So yeah, that's something, I think there's a tool on the Revit App Store for sale that does that same thing. So you can do it for free now. Don't tell them that. They might be mad at me. But yeah, that's all the examples except for the view template one, which you guys can still have the data set and try it out. That one jacked everything up, I think. Are there any like questions or anything? I guess I could put it on that last slide too. But yeah, that's kind of all I had. I wish that one wouldn't have crashed, but that's where you can find me as well. I blog, podcast. You can email me if you have a question. People email me sometimes when they're like, hey, does this do this? And I'm like, well, it can. And then I add it. So kind of fun. But yeah, thank you guys. Okay, I don't know how many watched it, but did I ever start it? I hope I did.
You know, I
Lucky
don't
did.
know.
Oh, I did because of this inception.